a lot of people, right? And I would say that I'm a part of this group, but there still is a question to be made, right? A lot of people uh reject those who partake in incest and don't have a reason other than just a guttural emotional rejection. They don't actually have a moral argument. Like, incest is bad, and somebody asks why, and they're like, "Oh my god, you like incest," right? But that's a problem. We actually do need a reason to
Birth
object to this.
defects.
That's a biological reason. I'm talking about a moral reason.
Isn't that is a more reason because you don't want your child to become like, say, rich or have like Down syndrome or have like fucking one arm or something, right? You want the best for your child, right? So you want to put him in the best position possible. So morally, you know,
Hmm.
you don't want to have sex with your whatever brother, sister, cousin
Okay,
for that
so
reason.
so
Morally,
then, by that argument, right? Then you would say that, uh, like, incest would be immoral conditionally that a baby is created, because then that baby would have a bunch of defects. So if it doesn't create a baby, then what?
then you're
It's an
having
uncomfortable
intercourse with a person that you have a different type of relationship. It's more like a family relationship more than a lover's relationship.
Yes, but why is that immoral?
Mm,
See, it's a question to have asked. I'm not saying that it isn't immoral. I just don't know why it is. It's a guttural reaction that like all or most humans have to it. But when it comes to actually discussing the ethics of it that aren't from a purely biological standpoint, there really isn't much.
I
And that's
mean,
and that's something that we need to
just,
talk about, because
it's just
almost
disgusting.
well well but that's not good enough. We can't just say, "Oh, it's too disgusting, therefore it's immoral." That's not how morality works.
Well, this is how I view it. So I do think that for humans, I think we talked about this last recording, but I'll repeat this. The primary main for humans is to reproduce. So if you take that into account, right, and you want to mate with someone, especially if it's a cousin, you have to understand that since your primary goal in life is to reproduce and pass your genes down to the next generation, you want to make sure that the person you're producing with can provide you with the best offspring possible. And if you're going to reproduce with the third or second cousin or fourth cousin or whatever it is, that can reduce the likelihood of healthy and developed babies. So that's why I think morally it's not a good idea. But
But
I'm not going to enforce it. That is not out of my control.
okay,
That
fair
or that is
enough.
out of my control.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay,
That is out of
so
my control.
okay, so you don't think that it should be illegal, but you think that it's objectionable from that standpoint. I would make the
Correct.
argument that that is also a biological framework, but that it ties morality into biology. And
Right.
maybe that makes sense from one framework, but I don't know if everybody else would also have that same framework. Because some people never want to have kids at all, like,
Right.
in their entire life. And for them, that sort of procreation is everything mindset just doesn't apply.
Right, and that's why I mentioned I don't want to impose that on anyone because I do realize that some people don't want to have kids and some people can't have kids or whatever the case is, or there's a million different reasons. So
Because they're gay.
so I don't want to impose my morality on anyone.
Okay, so then, in that way, it's not comparable to something like pedophilia or zoophilia, where there is a very clear, like, moral obscenity going on here, which is to say, a distinct lack of consent. That is the moral framework for why those two things are wrong. But for incest, that doesn't really apply as long as everybody's consenting, because if there's no consent, then it's just straight up rape. And we already have a moral framework for why that's bad. So, yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
To be fair,
That
I
is
do
a
think
reasonable subjective distinction. And I don't think, if anybody says that that's unreasonable, it's really not.
yeah, I mean That's all I have to say about it. I mean, that's just how I view it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But anyways, back to Fetterman.
Anyways, oh my god, we got into this whole topic. I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, I think
That could be a clip.
frankly, I think this this entire field is an oil site that needs to be mined. People who, you know, like philosophers who think about like ethics, moral philosophy, they need to like seriously touch on this with a critical eye and come to some type of consensus if at all possible. But I think for now that is definitely a very good solution to the question.
You worry about leaving a better planet for our kids. How about leaving better kids for our planet? Entire generation offended at everything, getting mad that a human thinks all lives matter. We don't need black or white or left or right. What we need is common sense. We need balance. We're all in the same boat. Why you trying to make holes? If they sink, we sink. This is madness.